Kia is a brand that's firmly on the up, with an increasing range of ever trendier cars. Some of its models still sell on plain old value appeal though, and the Magentis medium-range saloon is one of them. If for you a family car is a functional item that above all else needs to be practical, plush and affordable, then this one may be worth trying. Kia was in a difficult position in developing this Magentis. It's a medium-range saloon, which means it must compete with talented rivals in the Ford Mondeo, Vauxhall Insignia and Renault Laguna sector. Now, in the past, that was possible by offering cheap prices and lots of equipment to make up for less than cutting-edge design and dynamics. But that was in the past, when Kia did pretty much that with nearly all its models. Today's company wants to compete with the very best, which means higher standards and necessarily higher prices. So it's ironic that this Magentis is easily the best car of its kind that the Korean brand has ever produced. Yet because it's competing for the first time on direct terms with rivals in the industry's toughest sector, it's also, on paper at least, going to have the toughest time of any Kia to date in making any sales headway at all. Yet how a car performs on paper is one thing. How it performs on the road or as an ownership proposition is quite another. Let's check this one out. Now, I'd hazard a guess that Kia Magentis buyers are people in search of an easy life, who care as little about dynamic handling as they do about the feeding habits of next door's cat. Nothing wrong with that, of course. There are enough stresses in modern day living without having to corner your family car on its door handles all the time, or indeed having to worry your way through umpteen engine choices when it comes to speccing out your car. With this one it's easy. There's only one engine choice, and that's sensible because it's the one that most people would choose, the 137 brake horsepower 2-litre CRDI diesel. Now personally, I'm a bit fed up with reading motoring writers tell me what would happen if I threw such and such a family car into a corner. I mean, who drives like that, especially in a car like this? So I'm not going to dwell too long on the fact that the steering offers little feedback and the suspension wallows a little bit through the corners. The engine's not as quiet as I'd hoped and takes a bit of time to get into its stride, but once it does, over 2,000 RPM, there's plenty of pulling power, with 305 Newton meters of torque, meaning that rest to 60 takes just 10.4 seconds, and that's about as fast as most normal family motorists would want to go. Now, you'll need to allow about a second more on the way to a top speed of 124 miles an hour if you go for the even less demanding automatic version. If this second generation Magentis had looked like this at its introduction back in 2006, then maybe it would have done a bit better. The original Kia's bug-eyed look wasn't really appropriate to its rather conservative target market, and has been replaced here by a far slicker piece of penmanship. There are hints of Honda Accord in the way the lights and the grille merge into a single visor across the front of the car. It's certainly a big improvement. The rear lights have been tidied up as well. Now, similar attempts have been made to raise the game of the Magentis' interior, but they've been a little less successful. So the forgettable design and hard plastics remain, but at least all the fixtures and fittings seem sturdily assembled. This Kia remains a decent size, measuring 4,800 millimetres from front to rear and 1,805 millimetres from side to side. Now that translates into decent rear seat interior space particularly, with room for 2 adults, possibly even 3, across the back seat. A 6-foot-plus passenger can easily sit behind an equally tall driver in almost limousine-like comfort with excellent head, leg and shoulder room. And that's pretty good news for the taxi drivers that Kia admits will form a significant part of this car's audience. Out back, there is 425 litres of luggage space, extendable via split-folding rear seats, Kia's way of making up for the fact that there are no 5-door or estate body-style variants. List prices suggest that you'll pay just over £17,000 for this car, which might sound a lot until you take account of the fact that it's a very high-spec diesel 4-door. A top spec diesel Ford Mondeo or Vauxhall Insignia will cost you around £5,000 more. Even an equivalent Korean direct rival like Chevrolet's Epica VCDI or LT, or this car's close cousin Hyundai Sonata CRT-D, can't quite match the list price of this Kia. It's not only the engine choice that's been simplified for Kia Magentis buyers with that single 2-litre CR-Di diesel engine on offer. There's also just one spec choice, the well-equipped TR spec. So that means that all buyers can expect climate control, a MP3 compatible CD radio system, remote locking, electric windows, electric mirrors. You also get a tilt adjustable steering column, alloy wheels and parking sensors, plus part leather upholstery, electric adjustment for the driver's seat with height adjustment, and even a special docking point for your iPod. From a security point of view, there's an immobiliser, there's also an alarm and deadlocks, while from a safety perspective you can expect to find ABS, twin airbags at the front, twin side bags and ESP stability control to get you out of trouble in slippery conditions or if you enter a corner too fast. Big Korean saloons don't tend to yield particularly healthy returns on their owners' investments. And despite the growing esteem in which the Kia brand is being held, depreciation will in theory be swift on this Magentis, although you could say the same for a lot of other cars in this sector wearing mainstream badges. In reality, the returns probably won't be that different at the end of the day to, say, a Ford Mondeo. Economy is an area where the car fares a bit better. You can expect 47 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle from the 2-litre diesel engine, or 41 miles to the gallon if you go for the automatic. Emissions are 158 grams per kilometre for the manual, or 185 grams per kilometre for the automatic. Bad news comes in the form of Group 13 insurance, and in the news that the 7 or 5 year warranty that you get in other Kia models is reduced to just 3 years on this one. If you want a properly sized, diesel-powered family four-door with a high specification and shop for it at any one of the Western European or Japanese brands, you're looking at an asking price of over £20,000. Is it only me, or does anyone else think that's a ridiculous figure to have to pay, no matter how good the cars are? Buy this Kia, and it's true you have to accept a few dynamic deficiencies, but they're no worse than you'd get in its slightly pricier direct Korean rivals. And assuming that you haggle as hard as you would to get the right price on, say, a Vauxhall or a Ford, you're looking at an asking price saving that would pretty much buy you a city car as a second or third car runabout, or perhaps get you that home cinema system you've been promising yourself for ages. Think about this Kia, think real world thoughts, and its buying proposition seems a whole lot different.